Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. And today I wanted to talk to you about something that's pretty big, for me anyway. I still do, I guess to a degree, run an ADHD channel. And a lot of that time that I was there revolved around talking about routines. And then recently I became a homeschooling mom. And so on top of homeschooling, I've also been trying to make sure that I get work done and get my writing finished. And it's involved a lot of give and take and a lot of balance. One thing that has become horrifically clear to me is that when a lot of us think of routines, we tend to think about the routine that we should have and not the routine that we actually want, nor do we think about the routine that fits us best. And that makes it so that a lot of the time, the routine that we have in mind is not going to make us happy. Even if we hit it, it's going to be something that's very difficult for us to keep up. It makes things very, very hard for us just emotionally, even because we don't wind up doing what we think we want to be out there doing. So I really had to do a lot of soul searching, and I've eventually gotten to the point where I'm very happy with the routine that I have. And I wanted to share with you guys what I did so that hopefully you can build a routine that makes the most sense for you as well, that leaves you satisfied, that leaves you happy. I have always said that productivity is satisfaction, not perfection, and that's what we want to focus on. Here is what I did to build a routine that helped me balance ADHD, lifing, and just about everything else. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to try a thought experiment. And I first learned about this thought experiment from the brilliant Mandy M., author of Witchcraft Therapy and a number of other really cool books in that vein. And I'll put her link in the description so that you can check her work out. But what she suggests is imagining a day in the life of the ideal version of you. What does this person do from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed? And then you get as granular as possible. What does this person drink? What do they do? What do they think? What do they like? Who do they hang out with? All of that. You want to make sure that you write it all down, put it in a voice note, doesn't matter, but be as honest as you possibly can. You're dreaming right now, by the way, so don't worry about whether or not it perfectly matches who you are yet. Like, for example, in mine, I had an upstairs. I don't have an upstairs. I drank coffee with my husband. I can't drink coffee. It makes me an anxious mess. I also had a really big, nice writing office with like mahogany furniture. I live in Costa Rica and we can't do that here without getting mold all over our furniture. So it wasn't about what was available now. It was about what I saw in my head. After that thought experiment, you've done half the work. The other half is that you are going to take a look at it and you are going to match it up compared to the life you have now. And if you think I'm going to say, okay, now figure out how to make it a reality, you're only about half right. Because what I want you to actually do is I want you to be realistic. Okay, kind of like I just was. Like, yeah, I imagine myself sitting out on a patio with my husband drinking coffee, but I can't. However, maybe I can make the time to drink tea with him. And that is a very small example, but the point is, what you want to do is you want to look at the concept of what you have envisioned, and then you want to figure out how to take the nugget in there that makes you happy and make it exist in your reality. Another way to put it, in case you need another example, is say that you think, okay, so the ideal version of me would be getting up to work out at 5 a.m. every day. I would work out for 3 hours and then I would go to work from 8 to 3 and then I would come home and eat a super sumptuous meal that was super healthy for me, and then I would go to bed at a good time so I could get up and do it all over again tomorrow. But then you kind of back up and you're like, I'm not an early riser. I don't like to cook and I hate my job. Fine. But what are the things in there that were most important to you? Were you wanting to get up early to work out because you want to get up early, or because you really just want to be focusing more on your health? Because maybe what it is you actually just want to work out more. So maybe as a person who is more awake in the afternoons or the evenings, maybe your time after work is to work out. And maybe if you hate cooking, but you know that you really, really want to have healthier meals, maybe there are some easy, healthy meals that you could start researching to learn how to make that take minimal cooking. Or if you're lucky enough to have the income to do so, maybe you try to see if you can find a meal prep service. But you look at the basis of what it is that makes these things ideal for you, and then you figure out a way to make them happen in a way, like I said, that makes sense where you are now. The next thing that you need is what I like to call strict flexibility. And if you think I'm screwing with you, I promise you I'm not. What this means is that you need to find your personal perfect balance between flexibility and strictness, I guess. And what you do there is you're going to kind of figure out a way to make your routine structured, but to still leave space for energetic changes, surprise events, sickness, things like that. And for me, what that turned into was giving myself blocks of time towards certain things rather than just trying to schedule specific things at certain times, most times. So, for example, I have a work block and I have a rest block and I have a workout block. And but I also have the flexibility to understand that sometimes I'm going to be tired. Sometimes things are going to get in the way. And that if that happens, that's okay. I have certain things that I want to get done, and as long as I get those done, I'm happy. And that's really the best way I have found to approach my days. The third thing that you're going to be looking at here is curiosity. Curiosity is going to save you mentally, because if you are not reaching your goals every month, or if you told yourself that you were going to, again, we'll go back to working out. If you tell yourself that you're going to get up at 5 a.m. every day to work out and you don't, there are two ways that you can approach that. You can either get really frustrated and say, what is wrong with me? I am going to do this next week. It's going to happen. Or you could ask why. Why is going to be the question that is going to save you so much trouble. Treat yourself like a lab experiment. Treat your routine as if you are Dr. House and your routine is the patient. Why? Why is this happening? Why is this not going well? What do I need to do to change this? And sometimes the answers might not be the ones that you were looking for. You might find out, for example, that the routine that you had is not the one that's going to work for you, but that's okay as long as you're asking why. Because if you're asking why, you can eventually find the one that does make sense for you, and that's what matters. Remember, the point is, as long as this routine matches what you are looking for from life on some conceptual level, it doesn't really matter how perfect it is or whether or not it matches what you had in mind at a 1-to-1 ratio. And finally, the last thing you're going to need is joy. I'm not trying to be all Pollyanna about this. I'm not trying to be cutesy. I mean it. If you are not having fun on some level, if there is not something about your routine that brings you joy, you will not stick with it. I don't care how long you're doing it for. All it's going to take is you getting sick, breaking a leg, something going wrong and knocking you off the wagon for you to decide that you do not want to get back on that horse. The thing that is going to make you feel the happiest, that's going to make you feel the most like getting back to the routine, is finding the joy in what you're doing. And I don't see that enough. Like even in Atomic Habits, which is one of my favorite books about routine, you really don't hear a lot about joy. It's often about how do you just get back on that horse? How do you get the discipline? And discipline is important, but so is joy. And that can look a couple ways. That could look like, say that you want to go for a run constantly. You want to make sure that you run every day. It could either be changing your mindset. You could say, I get to run every day instead of I have to run every day. Or it could be looking forward to what happens after the run. Maybe you gift yourself a coffee afterwards, or, you get to run with a friend. And so you're really looking forward to seeing that friend. Maybe you get a nap after, find wherever the joy is and hold on to it. A personal example that I'll give you guys is, for the longest time, I did wake up at 5 a.m. every day to work out for 20 minutes because I needed the exercise. And like I said, I'm a mom. And the only time that I ever really get alone is before everybody wakes up. But I started realizing that before I went to bed every night, I actually dreaded getting up and I was a lot grumpier throughout the day. And at some point, it occurred to me that it was because I was not looking forward to my first few moments of the day. I was not looking forward to what came after I woke up. And so I decided instead to start my day with joy. I said, I'm moving my workout to halfway through the day. And instead, I am going to wake up. I'm going to make my favorite type of tea and I am going to write. And I actually jumped out of bed the following day. I was super excited. And that was how I was every morning. I was excited to get up and do these things so that I could start my day in a way that actually mattered to me. And since then, I have fallen off of that train multiple times. There have been a lot of times I've rolled over, looked at the clock and said, I'm not getting up at 5 o'clock, screw it. But I get back on that horse and I get back on there a lot easier because I'm excited to do what I'm going to do in the morning. And it makes me more likely to follow my schedule and do the things that I want to do throughout the day. So make sure that as you are building whatever routine works for you, that you are building joy in there and you are either starting it or ending it with joy. It's going to make a huge difference, I promise. So hopefully something here helped you. If you have any questions whatsoever, don't be afraid to drop a comment. I'm happy to answer. I'm happy to have you here. And if you had a good time, please make sure that you like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.